The live action Beauty and the Beast is heading into theaters. Be our guest as we tell you if it's any good.
Just a minute.
You see, there she is. Now, remember, be gentle.
Kind. Charming.
Sweet. And when she opens the door, give her a dashing debonair smile. Come, come, show me the smile.
I'm Roth Cornett.
I'm Andy Signor.
And that is our intro. I love that. That was an amazing intro from you. We're going to talk about the live action Beauty and the Beast. Here is, I think, the #1 Disney fan at ScreenJunkies.
Yes, I'm a huge Disney fan, but I'll be honest, Beauty and the Beast was never my favorite cartoon.
It wasn't my favorite either. It was my second favorite. Maybe. What was your favorite?
I liked Aladdin. Little Mermaid's probably my favorite.
Little Mermaid's
Aladdin
my
really
favorite.
affected me more. Lion King then came out and blew me away.
Oh yeah, that's
Beauty
true.
and the Beast I liked it. Like it was, I don't know, it felt more like I was a little boy. It felt a little bit more girly. So I think but Little Mermaid is too. I don't know. There was something about, here's my problem with Beauty and the Beast.
Okay.
I don't believe the story.
Okay, we're already getting so that's a really great point, because do you believe the story more here in live action or more in animated?
Yes, I think they did a good job at trying to adapt, because the problem with the story, which you'll see very soon, honestly, the problem with the story is just this whole, he's locked up for stealing a rose, and then, okay, I'll take this young woman and she has a lifetime. Now in the movie they try to adapt, he says a lifetime sentence for a flower. Like they do kind of point out the silliness of it, but it's still kind of hard to get over. Of like, huh? And it's also weird because the Beast is such a loner. You'd think the Beast would be like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Like instead of, you're locked in my castle. So there's that I've always had that problem with the plot of like, why is this movie happening? Is sort of the problem with it. That said, I think the live action movie did a little bit of a better job explaining it. I don't know. What did you think?
So I think that in many ways, this is actually a very faithful adaptation to the animated version that is so beloved. But what they do is take the time to explain some lingering questions that fans of that film have had about basically how did this all roll out and why is he cursed exactly, and does the curse make sense, and some questions that people have had over the years. And then they add a few new songs and add a few new elements to it, some of which I think I really like the songs, but some of the elements I think were more successful than others. My favorite part of the movie, I really think, was Gaston and LeFou.
Yes, both of them were great.
Luke Evans and Josh Gad. And LeFou, Josh Gad is a really talented actor and singer, and I think he probably gets a bad rep a lot of times for some TV shows and choices and movies that he's made. But he is really talented, and he really is bringing something new to this character, don't you think?
Yeah, no, they have a great chemistry together. I love Luke Evans. I just wish Gaston had a few more moments.
Yeah.
I feel like they did. They watered him down a little bit. Like he's a lot more, even more aggressive, I feel like, in the movie. And I think they could have had more fun with that. And there's moments of it. He's great. He does it. But I don't know. It felt like they Disneyed him a little bit, because even back in '91, Gaston was even more ridiculous.
He's horrible. But I think if you're that horrible live action, then it does tread into
maybe
different territory.
He's good, and they do that. But yes, Josh Gad, I think he's sort of typecast as sort of, I'm the Josh Gad, he's Olaf in everything he does. And there's a little bit of that here, but for the first time I was like, okay, yes, you're doing this right. You're perfect for this role. And they did have a great chemistry together.
So the big question is, of course, whether or not you bought and loved her as Belle.
Yes.
Emma Watson.
I did like her. I think, look, like I said, the story is a little silly. Like once you're past that, you're in for a fairy tale. I think just sort of the overview of this movie is you're in for a fairy tale. If you want a live action fairy tale, they deliver like hardcore. And if you want a musical, I feel like they delivered. This felt like a genuine musical where I feel like even Moana recently, which is the Disney return to musical, like it's sort of stopped. There's moments where it just feels like they're missing more songs. I think this version adds the right amount of songs to make it a consistent musical, which I actually appreciated and liked, because it helped be a little bit more forgiving for me of how silly the movie is, because you're watching a fairy tale musical. So yeah, I think given those constraints, I think Emma Watson does fit into this very well. She's very, I think she made it a smarter character. She made some choices that sort of like, okay, she's the more independent version, and I bought her in that role.
I did too. And it's interesting because I feel like the hardcore fans of that original movie will either absolutely love this and it will be a dream for them to see this brought to life, or they'll be so married to that version that they'll sort of be angry at this one and dislike it. What's your take?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in the both. Like I'm very down the middle in this movie. Like I had fun, so I'm like, okay, but I could probably be swayed if I talked to enough people who hated it, just because it's like, did we need it? Is the sort of the question on a lot of these remakes. It's like, I think it looks really cool. Like they did make it more epic. They added some new texture to it that I think helped. And I think a younger audience will probably like this, to see it in this live action format. But did we need it? I don't know. That's where I'm hung up. I'm like, some of the CGI is a little strange. It doesn't hold up as well as especially Beast.
Yeah.
Like there's moments of Beast where I'm just like, what's going on? What is this?
I feel, and it's interesting because overall I liked the film, but I will say I feel that it is very uneven in the sense that when it's working and when I was all in on it, I was utterly charmed.
Yes,
you know,
I was too.
I was so taken with it, and there were moments that I thought, oh my God, I am loving this movie and I'm loving this experience. And then there were other moments that weren't as strong, and that particularly, I will agree, there's some of the CGI just doesn't seem to work. Some of the characters work better and are more cute in their animated form, you know, like versus looking ultra realistic, it starts to become like, oh, I took some very odd acid tonight.
Yes.
I don't know exactly.
And the dresser, or I'm just like,
oh, there's a lot of strychnine in this trip. I don't know what's going on. And so it was this very uneven experience. But overall, in total, I walked away charmed and happy because it has a strong ending. And what's interesting about The Beast, because I agree with you, the CGI in general is up and down, particularly with The Beast, but Dan Stevens' performance was so strong.
Yes.
I think it saved it because he's so expressive and you can still see that.
Here's my problem. I did actually like Dan Stevens' performance was really strong. I just wish they'd had a practical Guillermo del Toro Beast on set.
Yeah.
It would have made things, I think, much more engaging between the two of them.
Yeah.
And I didn't like him, spoiler alert, but I mean, we've all seen Beauty and the Beast. I didn't like him as much when he turned to regular person.
Human.
Like I even my wife was like, yeah. And they make a joke at the end, like, you need to grow a beard.
Yeah.
Like it just, there was a little bit of he was a great performance, but then at the end I'm like, oh, interesting. Like, oh, I would be worried at that point. Like, wait, I kind of fell in love with this dog man.
Yeah, and now you're just so pretty.
Yeah, I don't know, but he was fine. He was a good performance. I just think there was the CGI distracted me, and then the human form version sort of distracted me, and I almost wish they had just had two different people play that role.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I really liked his performance overall. The period nature of his hair, I think, is maybe what we're talking about at the end. That didn't bother me. And I liked the end, and I thought it was cute, that moment that you're referring to. My takeaway is that, again, the strongest portions of it for me were the human interactions, and less so the characters that I think we love so much from the animated version, which are kind of like Chip, who everybody loved Chip. Do you think Chip works as well and Lumiere works as well in live action as they did? Look at that. That's adorable.
I don't. I mean, Lumiere was one of my favorites as a kid. Like, it was Sebastian and Lumiere as a kid were always neck and neck of my sort of favorite Disney supporting people. And Ewan McGregor's, he's good, like he's fine, but sounds a little fake at times. And then, he was better than I thought he would be. I was worried in the trailers, and I think Cogsworth and Lumiere, CGI wise, they do look very impressive. Like, yeah. I get it, but it's just such a weird. It's weird to see real because you're just like, huh? It's just, why are you still there? Why are you being nice? You're all just talking. What's real? What's not? It all becomes a lot more complicated a little bit. So the movie has a tough job. The movie has a tough job to turn your brain off, to not think about it and just say, let's go. Whereas in cartoon form, you're on board and you're like, whatever, this is a cartoon.
Yeah, because even though it's enchanted and I get it, this is magical, there's some of the physics of how they move.
Chip would break so much easier when you see China jumping on a table.
And then when he's running around and his candles are lit, so many things would catch on fire.
Yes.
There's just some of that which you shouldn't be thinking about those things. And when you're watching the cartoon, you certainly don't. It's not that the CGI is bad. It's actually really impressive that, like you're saying, it just doesn't totally always work. Now, this is sounding really negative, so I want to say again, the songs are great. Yep. They're beautiful.
Kevin Kline is great. He has a nice little moment when they meet him in that little moment song. That new song that the Beast sings at the end, I really like. There's some new stuff in this that I thought helped continue it along in a strong way. So I'm right in the middle, but I would go positive At the end of the day, I think it's a worthy theater going experience. And I as remakes go, this is no Alice in Wonderland. This is no Maleficent. This one does feel a little bit more true to what they were trying to do and just updating it for a new generation.
Yeah, and I would agree. I'm sort of in the, I found it to be an uneven experience, but the positive moments were so positive and I felt so charmed and so taken that I feel like if you have the potential to feel the way I did in those moments throughout the movie, which some people I know absolutely loved this, then that's an experience you're going to enjoy having. So if you love those animated classics, I think that you probably could really, really enjoy this film.
Yes, if you're a purist, you might get a little annoyed. If you're just a love of that story and you want to see it in a new way, I think you will have a blast.
I'm curious to see what they do next in terms of these live action adaptations.
Lion King is very strange.
Yeah, after the Jungle Book, because I thought the Jungle Book was very, very successful as an adaptation.
But Jungle Book was a cartoon that wasn't as good. I think that had a room for improvement. Right? I don't know how you improve Lion King.
Ooh, that's a good.
And that's where and then it's like there is a little bit of a cartoon similar problem of like you take it differently, like seeing. I don't know. There's no humans to sort of juxtaposed with them either, so you're all in on that.
But I think that if you look at a lion cub in cartoon form, it's going to be equally cute live action and equally endearing, and you're going to fall equally in love. Versus falling in love with a little teacup is a little bit easier, I have discovered now, in animated form. But again, Beauty and the Beast, if you love that original film, I think that this is one that you're, at least for the sake of your curiosity, may want to check out. But if you have reservations about it, you may want to go ahead and listen to those two. Those are sort of my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think go in open-minded and have some. Hopefully, you'll have some fun. I think don't go in expecting a Logan.
and if you want to just feel those feelings from the original, I'm going to go rewatch it. I think that's.
I'm going to rewatch it too.
The one thing that it will do is inspire you to do that.
Well, awesome. Thank you guys for watching. We have more over here, so check it out, and we will see you soon.